How's it going, laser bursters? Up, I'm Sixkilla and welcome back to Head as Code. Now, I wanted to jump back into the reactor and see if we can figure out a way to actually solve that without suiciding ourselves. Also, there was another puzzle room that I remember there was a way that we could possibly do it differently, but I can't remember which puzzle room it was, unfortunately. But now let's just jump back into this one and see if we can figure out... Is this one here? Yeah, this one. See if we can figure out what to click to make it all work out for us. There must be a way we can get out without anyone getting deaded, right? Gotta be. Alright, so let's try the reactor first. This one. That's what triggered this. We can pick that up. What is the object we picked up though? And then this? But then again, there was another way. I aimed the random object I took from the mess nearby directly at the button and threw it in. However, as soon as it was inside, the reactor lit up and the object was instantly incinerated before it hit the mark. What are you doing? I tried throwing something inside to hit the button. Go figure, Smiley doesn't want us to bypass the choice we have to make. She looked demoralized, but she vacated the spot. Damn. If I went for it again, I'd have to... 3 minutes. It was almost over. I only had one option now. Went over to the door. The open door as stealthily as I could. Unfortunately, Hannah noticed what I was doing. Trying to slip into the reactor while I wouldn't see. That won't work. Since I wasn't searching anything else, her attention had gone back to it. Crap, I fucked up. Now she's on the move to cut me off from it. No, you can't do this. I still tried to stop her, but in the end I failed. My arm reached for her, but she dodged it rather easily. Even if her steps were heavy, she could make quick calculations. She knew how much to move, how much to balance her weight. I was just a human. Wait, did she know that? Maybe I could do something with it. Maybe I could lie to her. What if I told her I was a robot? Even if it was a lie, maybe I could catch her off guard. That was my train of thought. Hey, narrate. Well, I was too late with it. Perhaps if I distracted her longer, I could have found something else. Perhaps I could have done the sacrifice instead. Perhaps only possibilities built this line of thinking. I can't stay idly by when someone comes to harm. It's part of my programming. Sorry. And with that, she stepped forward, leaving me out of her decision. It was like the choice had been made for me. I contested it. I didn't like the fact that it had been decided for me. As if there had never been a choice there. As if the events had been written to take place in this exact way without any doubt. As if I had no free will of my own. All those thoughts were secondary to the events unfolding before me though. She'd already slammed her hand onto the button in the reactor. Hannah? The door closed behind her, shutting her off from me. Well, last time we died. So it's different at least. She remained eerily silent past that. I could tell the girl was breaking down, watching her through the door. I slammed my fists against the window and the thick gate, but nothing I did changed anything. Her own hands lifted up to her head. Realizing the horror of what was to come, she held her own head in despair. Hannah? Hannah? This is it. She dropped her arms down and turned around as the reactor slowly launched the stabilizing process. Even as the heat grew inside, she smiled at me. She reminded me of myself. No doubt if I'd have been inside, I would have done similarly. We know that's true. Likewise, if she'd been the one outside, she most likely would have panicked and tried to get me out too. That is also true. In that sense, we're not so different. It was in our nature to try and help any way we could. Her face haunted me the entire time she remained within. As the blasts of fire and heat engulfed her more and more, the smile remained and it imprinted itself upon my mind. I couldn't forget it. I pulled away from the door due to the growing heat. My own behaviour was reversely proportional to Hannah's stabilization. The more she abandoned herself to fate, the harder I fought against it. I still had to try something, even before I understood that I could do nothing but watch. Horrific moments followed up on each other. Her fake hair fell down. Her flesh melted off the metallic components of her body. Even the metal turned into something akin to a bunch of molten parts. She was a robot. The fake person from the note, that was her. Yet despite that, I didn't really think she was a killer, or a bad person, or anything like that. She was just as much someone as anyone else here. Not anymore, of course. No, she was melted. She was dead. There was a high probability that she wasn't conscious anymore, if such a thing could be called consciousness. What was left of her was engulfed in a tornado of flames. Finally, after what felt like a few eternities, the reactor calmed down. I was contemplating what to do. The quiet room grew on my nerves. I couldn't shed tears. I couldn't scream. All I could do was live. All I could do was live for the remains of Hannah's melted body at the bottom of the little maintenance hatch. Encased into the metal was her collar. It looked fine. The blaring red alarm in front of the reactor had ceased its blinking and turned off. Just as it did, I released a breath that I'd been holding for around a minute. Finally, everything caught up to me. Yet despite my inherent and deep sadness, I couldn't bring myself to cry. Instead, I was thinking about the perpetrator, Smiley. That was his fault. All of this was his fault. A rage was building up inside me. To finally learn about Hannah and have her die like this? What would I tell Greta when I came out? Would she hate me? I'd be coming back without her sister. The next time I met her, I'd have to bring up the subject. It wasn't my fault. I didn't feel strong enough to do so, even if this was Smiley's fault. Not only was I a coward deep inside, but I also knew what to say in this kind of situation. I felt like I wanted to run away more than ever before. I stood back up. When did I fall into my knees? It must have been during my own growing despair. Everything that transpired had just been a blur. The screen had turned on again. I only realized it at that moment. I must have missed some of what Smiley was talking about. It took me a second to calm down as the rage against him was still strong in my head. Your group. However, know that now, someone else has been condemned to die here. This is of course no longer your main concern. As he was talking, the plane wall separated between its two halves. The reactor stabilizing was causing it to open. I focused on Smiley, however. I wanted to make sure I'd burn his image into my head, so I knew. No matter what, I would remember the person who destroyed our lives. You are yourself free to go. The door with the 9 will let you leave, provided you have what is required, of course. Otherwise, you will undergo termination in only a few minutes. If you have what is needed, you may proceed. But despite your success, mine will have been a horrendous failure. The MTS will get you. I didn't understand what Smiley was saying. The MTS was a shortened version of the Montreal Transport Society? So why is he bringing that up? Like, why would they get me? It's just a company set up to run the trains. There's also my other worry. I didn't have what was required to leave. If we needed to bring the 9th person here, Hannah wasn't it. Was I going to be terminated for that? What's fucking going on? The question echoed without an answer. Looking to find some, I finally paid attention to the back of the room. Something had opened there. I didn't feel quite ready to have a look at it. Instead, I looked around the room. Okay, so we're still in here. We're gonna look at these. I prepared myself. I couldn't bear to look at what was behind this for too long. The fact this wall had opened, was that meant to be some kind of reward? Was it my reward for standing idly by while Hannah melted away? I balled up my fists and clenched my teeth. Hannah. Can we look at other stuff? Smiley. You're gonna pay, one way or another. This took away Hannah. It almost took all of us away. Inside, a molten pile of metal residue was left. Hannah's collar was sticking out of it. Apparently it wasn't melting. What was this thing made of? Yeah, it's pretty insane. I couldn't go yet. I really wanted to, but I just couldn't go. I looked at what was back there. I approached what seemed to be a set of some type of vats in which were 8 people. In which were 8 people? Aligned were 8 vats containing 8 people. The bodies of each of them were floating in the greenish liquid. I recognized them, of course. Is that us? They were us, in order of 1 to 8. Am I a robot? Are we all robots? We were held by cables, and each of us was wearing a mask like Smiley's. What did this mean? G was there. I was there. Marco, A, Hannah, Ray, E, and Jasmine, all of us were here. All of us were Smiley? What was this? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the hell is this? I couldn't understand what I was seeing before me. I flattened my hands against the glass container that had me inside. Sure, I couldn't see our faces, but these were definitely our bodies. Fake people? Clones? Robots? No, were these the real ones? That's what I was thinking. I'm a robot. I touched my body. I was solid. All of me was real. All of the vats were real too. Everything was fucked up. I held my head and I screamed. I screamed so loudly, I screamed for a long time. I didn't want to know. Why was it so fucked? I probably went into this insanity at this moment. I couldn't see what I was doing. I couldn't hear what I was screaming. I couldn't pay attention to what I was hitting. I was punching walls. I was jumping up and down. I need to find a fucking way out of here. The number 9 door was open. Quick. Get the fuck out. The fuck out. The fuck out. The fuck out. Out. Get out. I ran through the scanner gates. Darkness greeted me momentarily as it cut our fucking head off. That was a bad idea. Oh well, that definitely added to something. Ending F. That's bad end. There must be a combination. I don't think that's it though, eh? There must be another combination of things you can do. Alright, well I've done all the options and I don't think there's any way, it's at 100% now, I don't think there's any way to actually make that play out in any other way. I know I used the word way too much there. We're going to go back here then and we're going to choose Jasmine as our companion for this bit, and then we'll figure out where that leads us, because I don't know what else to do at this stage. See, it says 100%, so it just means 100% of things have been interacted with. Is that what that means? Alright, we're going to go with Jasmine and see where that leads us, even though we did argue to not go with Jasmine. This is a conundrum. I knew I argued in favour of the twins splitting up, but my gut feeling wanted me to accompany Jasmine instead. Well, that was a good thought experiment, wasn't it? What are you talking about? The whole splitting up thing, you know. I still don't understand. What's a thought experiment? What I'm saying is that all of it was just not really a suggestion. She was still puzzled by my sudden outburst. I had to find some kind of reason to explain why I wanted to go back to Jasmine. See, I was trying to get to know who you two were, to gauge you both better. We're strangers, so it's difficult to know if we're both cooperative. Yeah. I see. Aren't there easier ways to do that? Gee, he's saying we can go together, so who cares? Jasmine was also slightly puzzled, but she didn't let it show. Instead, she understood what I meant to do and clapped her hands together. Perfect then. Let's go down and wait for the train. Wait, shouldn't we pair up to stay here to contact the others? Shouldn't it pair to stay here? Yeah, I thought about that. She wasn't entirely decided on the matter yet. I chimed in to give a piece of wisdom now that the storm had been dodged. I think we'd all head out together and explore 2 whole stations. 2 whole stations as opposed to only half of 2 stations? Who says I'll come back here anyway? I agree. It's highly unlikely everyone will choose to come back here every time we do a station or another. It's probably safer for everyone if we clean up the whole place and then escape together. Something was a little strange with H's proposal. For some reason, it didn't seem completely genuine. Was she planning on absconding the moment she could? Maybe it would have been better to keep an eye on her instead. Whatever the case is, the train can take a while to arrive, so let's head down. Nobody had any objection. Once again, we formed a little line to head down and leave the station behind us. Maybe we'll be leaving it for good this time around. One by one, we emerged onto the station. The train wasn't here yet. How typical. Before we left for another station, I decided to talk with some of the others quickly. Oh, so we got a choice again. Alright, let's talk to the twins. Hey, I hope the whole thought experiment thing wasn't too weird. No, I still don't understand what you're talking about. Me neither. If it lets me go with age, it doesn't really matter, does it? I guess not. What are your plans for when you finish exploring the next station? Our plans? Like what? Like, say, if you find the 9th person. Oh, that. I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to tell until it really happens. Yeah. It's already ludicrous to think there'll be even be a 9th person. If you ask me, that might be a lot of hot air. We still can't trust Smiley. I could tell the 2 of them were averting their eyes to look slightly awkwardly, or looking slightly awkward overall. Something didn't feel right. Were they planning on leaving us all behind? Were they withholding information on the suspicion that one of us was Smiley? Now that was a rather terrifying thought. That's what we were doing before. I decided to play it off and leave it aside. Okay, that makes sense. I didn't want to confront them about it. Maybe if I didn't push the issue, they would think of us more favourably. The train's coming. You should go fetch Jay if she didn't see it. It's kind of hard not to see the train. I made my way to Jasmine anyway, understanding she wanted to shoo me away, and again, I wanted to up the odds in our favour. Finally, the train settled in at the station. We boarded it without hesitation. We're going to the west. So we have the pool, recreation, and reactor next. If you put their initials together, you get a happy cat. Huh? A happy cat? Yeah, they go purr. Oh dear. The doors of the train closed without anyone laughing at the joke. I think Em's behaviour has been rubbing off on you. Yeah, that was weak. Difficult crowd tonight. Following that fiasco, I sat down and the train went to the previous stations we already finished. What felt like an eternity ago. There was silence the whole time. That's where we're leaving. Oh, that's not fair. You two get to go to the pool and have a nice dip? Don't be silly, I don't think we'll have a dip. I looked at her. Oh, she totally wanted to have a dip in the pool. I rose up and joined her regardless of what I felt on the matter. Or perhaps... I mean, yeah. I kinda would be fine with this station too if it meant Jasmine would be hanging around in a bikini. Where would she get a bikini from? I didn't want to ramp up any sort of perversion, but she looked really fine. What was I thinking? What were the chances there'd be swimsuits here? Probably null. So, yeah. Once we're all done, let's check back in at the lounge real quick, just to be safe, okay? Yeah. Your wife already left. Wife? I was about to storm up some kind of retort when I realized Jasmine had already disappeared behind the open doorway too. Whoa, hey, wait up! I ran out of the train and entered the lobby once more. It looked just like the others. Much like them. It also closed behind us. What's with the big hurry? Something doesn't feel right. Wait here for a little bit before we go up and you'll see. Did Jasmine hear something? Was there someone here? Someone else here? Question after question ran through my brain, but I had no answer, and she didn't explain herself until several long minutes after the train had left. Another one came by. In this one, from afar, I could spy two people. They weren't the twins, they were Marco and Ray. If we hadn't come here this quickly, they'd have arrived before us. So they were continuing on. What are you doing down there anymore? Get up here already. Jasmine called me from afar. She was already up the stairs. Didn't you ask me to wait down here? I didn't think you really would take me seriously. Come on now. There's a pool up here. Check it out. Didn't sound like a joke. I climbed up at the assistance of my companion. After a brief hallway, there was an uninteresting locker room split into two sides. One for women and one for men. And finally, after going through the one for men, I entered the room containing the pool itself. There you are. How'd you project your voice from here? I didn't. I just walked like a normal person. Listen, I wanted to hurry up a bit because there's something I have... She pulled out a strange key. The handle looked like the number 8, and the key itself looked like one of those old-fashioned models. What's that for? Where'd you get this? I don't know. E gave it to me earlier, and I have no idea where she could have found this. Of all people, too. According to what she theorized, it might be important to unlock something. A big secret, maybe. Think you saw anything that needs a secret key? I thought about it, but nothing came to mind. Don't let anybody know of this. It might be really, really important. Let's look at it after we're done here, okay? Yeah, works for me. Let's not waste any time. She agreed and we split up to look around the room, which contained a few elements of great interest. And a lot of it didn't seem to fit with what a pool should normally contain. Looks like a petrol station. Almost immediately, Jasmine held her nose. This place smells weird. Don't you feel strange? A little now that you mention it. What's the source of this, you think? I think it's the waiter. Is it some kind of acid? You can stop holding your nose. It's making it harder to understand you. But about the acid part, maybe. Jasmine approached the pool. She shook her head in clear visible pain. It's making my throat itchy. Whatever these pools contain, it's not water. We can't swim here. She dropped her shoulders forward in defeat. There go my dreams of swimming around in a bikini. There were my dreams of seeing Jasmine swimming around in a bikini. I dropped my shoulders and turned too. She caught that and held a corner smirk that I barely caught. Or was it my imagination? Probably her imagination. Alright, well, what are with these coloured things? And this must be an anagram? YVTUG. Ah, pass. Now we're getting kinky in here. Huh? What? Oh, I guess it's not that kind of paddle. No, it's not. Pilfering the paddle from the ground, I looked around for its purpose. There was no boat, so I couldn't use it to swim away to victory. Something else must have been why it was here. I found the object that allowed me to bring the lifesaver over. Since the water was acidic, I couldn't reach it with my bare hands. Carefully, I pulled the lifesaver to the edge of the pool using the paddle. How'd the lifesaver not disintegrate in the acid? You can see the bottom of the metal ladder has completely melted away. Oh, I mean, depends on the kind of acid what it melts, right? Maybe it's made of something the acid doesn't corrode. Either way, let me see the message. I had to kneel down next to the pool to see it, bringing me ever closer to the surface of the acid. If I fell in there, I wouldn't come out again. Maybe, just one step over, everything would end. I shook my head out of those suicidal thoughts. What the hell? I need to see the message right. This is a lot of gibberish. In fact, that's barely words at all. They contain numbers and random stuff. I don't think this is meant to be anything. Maybe it's just hiding the real message. Look for anything special. This part here isn't bold. It's only 3 letters and 2 numbers though. It says ROT13. Oh, I know that. It's a substitution cipher. A really easy one too. You just substitute every letter for the one 13 slots backwards. For example, N would be A then. What the hell could this help us accomplish? Surely there must have been a reason to explain why this is in the room. Yeah, it's for this stuff up here, right? N equals A, so Y equals L? What are you doing? I'm translating YV tug over to the real word it's supposed to be. LIGHT. Oh. It's light. Give me a moment, I'll do it way faster. Smart ass. She closed her eyes. I didn't know how that would help. I let her do it if she wanted, but I also continued. If G equaled T, then T, this was TH. Light through a prism. Got it. Wow, that was fast. How'd you do that? I'm psychic. No, but for real, I just thought it was weird that we had color-coded machines on the wall, so I sort of went with the most obvious. Didn't seem that obvious to me. Still, what does this mean? I had to make sense of it. Why was an arrow pointing at the green machine? Was this where we had to start? Oh, okay. The acid in the air is getting worse as time passes. I saw her holding her throat, visibly, like she wanted to scratch at it. I had to do something before she fell under the curse of Oyashiro-sama. There's no time to waste. This looks like the job for Pizza Man. Are you Pizza Man? Yeah, that's me. I'm Pizza Man. I just used my laser sight to break out of here. Or I would, but the acid in the air is preventing me from doing so. Curse you, my arch nemesis. The mystical Pizza Knight, huh? They say Pizza Knight comes from the planet Pizan, from where Pizza Man comes from. Is that true? Yeah. Until the Pizza Knight is gone, I can't use my pizza powers. I'll get you next time, Lex. Oh dear. Is this an electrocution chair? I looked around the 4 panels of glass. I approached it to press my hands into it, but I couldn't touch it. Was like there's some kind of force field around it? It's so weird, I can't touch the glass. Think we should break it? Yeah, let's try that. But with what? Jasmine snagged the pedal. Snagged the pedal nearby and swung it at the glass. However, the moment it came within around 2 decimeters of the surface, it stopped in midair. Hey, don't play around. Come on, it's okay, even if we have to deal with the glass shards. No, I mean I literally can't move anymore. This is the most I can do with it. I yanked the paddle out of her hands to try it too. Same result. The panels of glass stopped me before I made contact with them. How strangely convenient. I guess we can't break this the way we want to. I flicked the switch on the green machine. A small hum came from it, signaling it was activated. Green is first, so you mean to do a full rainbow or something? I don't know. What's next after green in the rainbow? Blue. You can go both ways, it's not really clear. Let's try one of them. Oh, that was red. My bad. I mean to grab the blue one, but I hit red like a dumb shit. It's not doing anything. You trying to brute force it or something? No? Okay, fuck off. Flick the switch, but nothing happened. I knew it. You're trying to brute force it. Of course not. Another mistake. No big deal. I'll get it right this time. Does the green already count as done? Or if we're going the other way, then it'd be yellow. There we go. I watched the lights flicker a few times as if to... I don't know why I hit red thinking it was blue. Maybe I'm colorblind. In fact, active before they stabilized to what they'd been prior. The only difference was another humming noise added to the rest. Orange. Nice. Red. This time. Oh, what about cyan? Cyan's not part of the rainbow. I mean, that would be next to blue, wouldn't it? I guess cyan's next. Ah, I broke it. Alright, I've had it. I have to do something because you can't get this right at all. She swiftly looked at each plate. You know what? Fuck it. I bet if you just flipped all the switches, the machine will turn on and we'll be out of here. Let's just do that instead of wasting all this time. We both went ahead and flicked what was left of to turn on together. Once the photo machine was flicked, I tried doing more of them, but none of them changed. They're stuck. Look, something's happening though. I was gonna solve that. What? Fuck. As I stood by, a part of the glass panel was retracting into the ground just enough for us to enter the compartment. We now had access to the strange chair. There's a note on the back of this chair. It says, the code will be directly transferred to your head. What does that mean? It means that it's dangerous. Don't touch it. You have to figure out a different way to get the code. Do you think that exists? Of course. Smiley doesn't really expect us to sit here and electrocute ourselves, does he? Jasmine walked back around the chair to join me outside of the compartment. This decidedly was too dangerous. I watched her move further away. I don't know. She kicked a paddle off into a pool, making it dissolve. Great. Now it was dead and it would haunt us. Great, what if we needed that one too? Don't you get it? This acid is spreading in the ambient air. If we stay here too long, we'll die. We don't have the luxury of looking around any longer than how long we took so far. It's do or die at this point. But I'm not gonna sit in the chair. I'd rather dissolve. At least it'll give us a fighting chance. It's okay, I'll sit. What? I refuse to agree to that. You don't have to agree. I didn't expect you to. You're a really good guy, so obviously you jumped to my rescue if this happened. But you don't know what it's like for me right now. What it's like right now. She reached up to her head, clutching it. She spoke, her eyes widened as she was in great pain. Oh, not like, just like frickin' H. At that moment I realized that Jasmine had been suffering far more than I had ever since I woke up here. But why? What was really happening to her? I've been trying to do other things to keep my mind off it. I thought if I was a bit sillier sometimes I could take my mind off it. Anything, just to not focus on it. It's not enough though. You don't have any idea what it feels like in my head. Right now it's like there's a bulldozer running over my brain. It's like my head is full. It's heavy. It's full and heavy. Way too full, way too heavy. It hurts all the time in here. I don't know why. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Do you understand, S? I can't stand it. She was growing hysterical, but I couldn't move. She was screaming and I was frozen in contemplation and shock. And you know what? I have conflicting memories too. It's not enough that it's painful, I'm confused as hell. I remember you, I remember Marco, I remember my studies. Those are fine. But I also remember other things. I don't know about those. I remember having a sister even though I don't have one. I remember my body being smaller for some reason. Like I'm still a teenager. I'm not a teen, I'm 24 years old. I feel off about so many things too. Sometimes I feel like I'm being watched. Someone's spying on me with these computers, these security screens. What if Smiley watched me? Smiley's watching me with his helmet or something. And worst of all, there are a handful of people I remember too. Like 7 or 8 of them? They died. Or something. I remember that. They fucking died. Who? Who were they? All my memories, they're all broken. Who are they? Who am I? So she's got like H's personality inside her as well? Or something? I know I'm probably not meant to be referencing Birth Me Code, but you know how the main character in Birth Me Code was like an artificial intelligence that was implanted into the minds of people? Is that what's happening here? I mean, that would make sense, right? Am I Jasmine? What if I'm not Jasmine? What if I'm just, I don't know, someone else? What if I'm just not me? Where is me? Who is me? I grabbed her arm to stop her at this moment. I looked her straight in the eyes. I saw them slowly turn in their sockets until they fixated on me, still crazed. I don't care who you are. Right now you're Jasmine. There's no point to nicknames at this moment. We both admitted them. I don't know. Listen, people exist because their memories make them who they are. Memories and experiences, the sum of all that is what makes them them. I've seen people who have memories or issues. They don't feel like themselves when they speak to you anymore. Ever had someone you know not remember your face? My great-grandfather eventually developed Alzheimer's to a degree where he couldn't recognize my parents, even if he recognized me. We visited him when I was younger. He kept saying how when I accompanied my parents, I'd come to see him alone earlier. But that was impossible since I was accompanying my parents. He couldn't say what we spoke about. It was terrible for him. He passed away possibly while not even remembering his own children. It's part of them that left him. I'm the same. That's why... She yanked herself out of my grip and turned around, making a step towards that chair. I have to sit in that chair. I went through it. Something like it. I'm sure. I already had my head messed with. I don't have a memory disease. Someone did this to me. This chair was put here for me. You're a robot too, aren't you? Ultimately, there was nothing else I could do about it. When Jasmine made up her mind, she was serious. I could feel that energy coming from me. She sat in the chair. The clasps around the chest part closed onto her ribs. When she put her hands down onto the armrest, the chair further bound her there. Her ankles were so tightly held by other automatic clasps, at that point, she couldn't move away from it. In fact, she could do nothing but turn her head. Jasmine looked at me. She was still struggling with the fear of what was to come. I could tell the glitter of that feeling deep within her pupils. He pushed the helmet part down. I hesitated, but under the insistence of her glare, I obeyed. Slowly, I adjusted the helmet down to her head and waited. Nothing happened. Is there a switch? Yes. You want me to turn it on? It's like asking me to participate in... I can't do it. You have to do it in my stead. And if you're apprehensive because you think you'll be the cause of anything bad happening to me... She smiled. You're just an extension of me right now. When you push that switch, it'll be me doing it. I don't intend to die, and anything that happens is not your fault. It's do or die. And if it just so happens that the Grim Reaper pays me a visit today, let's both tell him something he doesn't want to hear. Like what? Not today. I hesitated again, and then I pressed down on the switch. After having secured herself in the seat, Jasmine suddenly let out a half-hearted scream. I watched while I grew increasingly worried as the seconds passed. Jasmine? She wasn't moving. Her body was tensed up and her eyes were open wide, almost bloodshot. She wasn't staring at anything in particular, only forward and blankly so. Are you okay, Jasmine? After about a minute, my shuddering body acted on its own. I leapt over, grabbed the machine, pulled onto it to try and take it apart. I was still being careful not to damage it in a way that would hurt Jasmine though. What are you doing, Jasmine? Don't you fucking... I was interrupted when Jasmine's head shot out to grab onto mine. Hand shot out. She held it tightly, preventing me from messing with the machine any more than I already had. I'm okay. Just sit tight, please. I let go of the machine, powerless against Jasmine's word. The altercation had only taken a few seconds, but soon she was released from the seat. That was really intense. She tried lifting herself up from the seat, but only managed to trip forward, not too far from the edge of the pool. I immediately launched myself to her side. I helped her up to her knees as she grunted with some unaudible words. It had been quite close to turning into a tragedy. Are you alright? Did it hurt? Like I said, it wasn't my first time. In my head, I knew this sounded far different than it really was. Focus, Simon. Stop thinking of suggestive things. Your friend's head got messed with. Not really the time. She tried rising higher, only to slip and fall back down. I held her to stop her rolling into the pool with my arms, and I was thankfully successful. But it was very tiring. She held her head with a hand. I helped her get back further away from the edge of the acid-tainted waters. That way if she fell again, it wouldn't be into the pool itself. You need some kind of rest? No, I can go. I just need to focus a little. Finally, she managed to rise up to her feet, though she kept a hand onto the wall for support. I didn't know what that thing did to her. I didn't want to know, but I had to make sure she was fine. I wouldn't be able to handle losing her to this. So what did it do? Do you know? Yes, I know. Before we go, I have something really important to tell you. I could tell she was struggling with her words. What did Jasmine want to tell me exactly? It wasn't something meager. No, she had the expression of someone who'd seen a ghost. I didn't believe in ghosts, so I was hoping she wouldn't tell me about one. It's about... I patiently waited, unwilling to urge her in this state. It's about the code to leave this place, of course. All of a sudden she smiled, as if this had been one big farce. Whatever she wanted to tell me was gone from her immediate thoughts. Was she concealing information or was she just making fun of me? I chose to believe the latter instead of the former, yet I still thought it must have had something to do with the machine. I cursed my inability in questioning her. Oh, you got me. I mean, the machine did transfer the code into my head, just like it said. I have the memories of that now, so we can leave this place. She walked over to the door, slightly tripping over herself in the process. I tried helping her, but she held her hand up to stop me. I'll be fine. We need to go before the acid dissolves us any further. Your skin's itchy, right? Not really. She ignored my words and continued to stumble her way out. It was so clear that she was concealing something. I didn't know what to make of it. Could I trust her still? My childhood friend? It was somewhat heartbreaking if she chose to keep me out of the loop. Maybe she had a good reason, but what that was, I couldn't know for sure. If she wasn't telling me, she had a good reason not to, surely. We have to talk later though, okay? About what? We were in the lobby when I brought it up. About this whole thing here. That we just did. That you did. I didn't do anything, what are you talking about? Sorry, I mean... It's okay, relax. Let's take the train. Don't know which side of the station we'd even gone down. I was only following her. Well, she might have been concealing information from me. I didn't want to let her go alone. Typical of me. I never wanted to let her go. As we waited for the train, I wanted to break the silence, but I still didn't know what to bring up. Alright, we're gonna wrap this one up because we're super duper out of time, but that got crazy. That got crazy. What is going on? Are we a robot because we don't have itchy skin and because of other things that we saw back when we were dealing with H? Is she a robot? She's got like someone else's memories implanted in her? It seems like whoever this H was, whoever Hannah originally was, and Jasmine are sharing a body. They've got two consciousnesses in one body, or just two sets of memories in one consciousness. I don't bloody know. But maybe this H is the cursory form of what your main character was in Birth Me Code. I don't know, I shouldn't reference Ford, should I? I should just take this, seeing this was the original, I should take this as a standalone thing and then reference it forward later, but it's hard not to, you know what I mean? Anyway, we'll get back to it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.